The Han Dynasty, around the 2nd century BCE, had a bit of a neighbor problem. To their north were the Xiongnu, a confederation of nomadic peoples who were exceptionally good at riding horses and making life miserable for settled agricultural empires. Think of them as the world's most effective homeowners association, except their bylaws mostly involved raiding your territory and demanding tribute. The Han Emperor Wu, a man not known for his patience, got tired of playing defense. His brilliant idea wasn't to build a bigger wall, but to find someone else to fight the Xiongnu for him. He'd heard rumors of another group, the Yuezhi, who had been chased west by the Xiongnu and might just be holding a grudge. So he decided to send an envoy to find them and propose a little joint venture. This is how most great business ideas start, trying to get someone else to solve your problems. The man chosen for this diplomatic mission was Zhang Qian. His job was simple: travel through hostile territory, find a displaced nation of nomads, and convince them to start a war. Easy. He set out in 138 BCE and was promptly captured by the Xiongnu. For 10 years. He wasn't exactly rotting in a dungeon. They gave him a wife, he had children, he basically settled down. Most people would have called it a day, but Zhang Qian was a professional. He eventually escaped and continued west, finding the Yuezhi, who, it turned out, were perfectly happy in their new home in Bactria and had zero interest in picking another fight with the people who had already kicked them out once. So the primary objective was a complete failure. On his way home, he was captured by the Xiongnu again for another year. He finally returned to the Han capital in 125 BCE, 13 years after he left, with no alliance, but with a truly incredible amount of intelligence about the world to the west. Zhang Qian's report mentioned many things, but one detail caught the emperor's attention: horses. Specifically, the magnificent, powerful horses of the Dayuan people in the Fergana Valley. These weren't the short, stocky ponies the Han were used to. These were the so-called heavenly horses that supposedly sweated blood. Emperor Wu needed these to create a cavalry that could finally challenge the Xiongnu. First, he tried trading. The Dayuan said no. Then he sent a second envoy with a golden horse statue to trade for a real one. The Dayuan king, in a stunning display of diplomatic subtlety, killed the envoy and kept the gold. This, understandably, annoyed Emperor Wu, so he launched a full-scale invasion of a country over 1,000 miles away. For horses. The first attempt was a catastrophic failure. The second, in 102 BCE, succeeded. The Han Empire got its super horses, proving that if you can't buy it, just throw 2 armies at the problem until it's solved. With the Xiongnu pushed back and the heavenly horses secured, the route west was, well, not safe, but less likely to result in immediate capture. The Han court realized the economic potential here. The little trickles of trade could become a river of wealth if they controlled it. This wasn't some libertarian free-for-all, it was a state-run enterprise. They extended the Great Wall westwards, creating the Hexi Corridor, a fortified highway. They established garrison towns like Dunhuang, which became the world's most heavily guarded warehouse and customs office. In 60 BCE, they created the Protectorate of the Western Regions, essentially telling the dozens of city-states in the Tarim Basin that they now had a new landlord. The Silk Road wasn't built on friendly handshakes, it was paved with military force and imperial bureaucracy. So, what was actually moving along this road? From China, the star of the show was obviously silk. It was lightweight, valuable, and a complete mystery to the West. The Romans, the final customers, were obsessed. Pliny the Elder complained it was making Roman women indecent and draining the treasury. Some Romans genuinely believed silk grew on trees. China also exported iron goods, lacquerware, and bronze mirrors. What came back? The aforementioned horses, but also jade from Khotan, exotic glass from the Roman Empire, which the Chinese thought was a rare mineral, spices, asbestos, and even entertainers. And, of course, ideas. This was the route that eventually brought Buddhism to China, which would have a slightly larger impact than a few bolts of shiny fabric. It was less a single road and more a relay race of goods and concepts, with each participant marking up the price along the way. Running a monopoly sounds great until you get the bill for it. Securing thousands of miles of trade routes is phenomenally expensive. Those garrisons, walls, and protectorates required soldiers, administrators, and a constant supply of grain, all of which had to be hauled into some of the most inhospitable terrain on Earth. The government tried to make the Western garrisons self-sufficient through farming, which worked about as well as you'd expect trying to grow wheat in a desert. The profits from the silk trade were enormous, but so were the costs of the military and bureaucratic machine that made it possible. Add in the inevitable corruption of officials skimming off the top, and the whole enterprise was a constant balancing act. It was a strategic asset, a source of prestige, and an economic engine, but it was also a massive hungry beast that constantly needed feeding from the imperial treasury. The Han Dynasty's greatest asset was the secret of sericulture, how to make silk. They guarded it jealously. Revealing the secret to a foreigner was punishable by death. This worked for a surprisingly long time. For centuries, the rest of the world was just buying the finished product with no idea how it was made. But knowledge, like water, eventually finds a way to leak. According to one, probably not true but great story, a Chinese princess smuggled silkworm eggs out of the country in her elaborate hairdo when she was married off to a Khotanese king. A more plausible story involves two Nestorian monks smuggling the eggs in hollow bamboo canes to the Byzantine Empire in the 6th century CE, long after the Han fell. The monopoly was bound to break. The Han's success created the very demand that ensured, eventually, everyone would figure out their secret. A perfect self-defeating loop. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!